What it do? It's your boy Illuminated D, and you know what I'm saying? We back with another one. Today is October 25th, 2024. First thing that I want to do is thank you to everybody who's liked and commented, and to all the subscribers. Pops and I want to let you know that we really appreciate you. For spending your time and coming to consume this content, spend your time with us. It's amazing. And your family. Bless. I pray for you every day, right? So, this video is going to be talking about surviving the 6.1 interest rate. So look, I got my first property when I was in Seattle. We're not even going to talk about the prices and the numbers and how they looking. But let's talk about the first one I got for a 2.5 interest rate. Then, because of my career field, I had to move, and I went to Korea. So, after Korea, while I was there, you know, in doing my research and learning about different ways that you can do property investments, I met a lot of different individuals who told me that they did a remote buy. So they would buy their property remote before ever actually even getting there. And then after that, they would move to the property. So they would let their realtor pretty much get the property, do everything for them, get it all situated. And then all you got to do is just walk in when you get there. They'll meet you there, have the keys ready, have everything ready to go for you. You know, if you're not able to be there, you can have a friend even go and co-sign on the documentation as a notarized author. You got to go to a notary and get it notarized and validate that this person is able to sign for the property for you using their signature as your signature. So long story short, unlike my first property, this property that I got was, I have to say, the same price. So I thought I had paid more for it, but it was really the same price. And it just appreciated well. But in doing this, I said, okay, well, look, what's the dynamic of why anybody would buy a property at a 6.1 interest rate? Because I had two options. I basically had to decide either on moving further out in a rural area outside of the city, being able to capture a very nice property similar to the same size that I have now of property, very good quality for a lower rate. But the only difference is that you're further away from the city. So let's say you got a business or you do something and you need more people to be in your surrounding area. Well, I would have had to move out into the rural area in order to get that good price so that the interest rate doesn't go crazy and try to like take you out the game, right? So what ends up happening is I say, hey, well, look, I got my friend here with me on this business adventure, or this business venture. Sorry, I look at it as an adventure, but this business venture. So their business, and they're entrepreneurs, so their business thrives off of people and a lot of community being involved so that they can, you know, make, you know, means or ends meet, right? So pretty much what I decided to do, I say, hey, well, look, this is what we gonna do. I had 3 people at the time. So what I did was I said, look, I'm gonna buy this property. And I was really looking at a bunch of different areas, but I said, okay, I'm gonna settle for here because one of the individuals that came in on the investment, they do like acting. So they're an actor. So I said, hey, well, look, in order for me to help you with your acting ability, then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually, let me move this and transfer the camera down here, because it's getting too bright. So basically, I said I'm gonna move here because you get the ability to have SCAD University, you know what I'm saying? So they're right next to SCAD, you know what I'm saying? Tyler Perry Studios is right down the street. I said, so if you really want to make it, you got every means here to really get into the game, because this is the Performing Arts University, and you can walk right in and just go ahead and meet people, and everybody's going to be open because that's what they're here to do, is connect, right? Then I got another individual who's a stylist. So they wanted the hottest stylist in the game. Like, I'm not going to say no names because I don't want anybody, you know what I'm saying, just going too crazy. But if you go online and you look at styles by price and styles with a Z by price, you'll see what I'm talking about. Code, right? And then as far as me, my military career, I live 45 minutes away. So I say, okay, well, look, I'm going to choose this area so that we can all thrive. Long story short, I say to my team, I said, hey, listen, we're going into this as a team. And that means that whenever we go into a business adventure or a business investment, you cannot be selfish. You have to think about your team before you think about yourself. Everybody, a lot of times, just be thinking about their self. And I try to make it very understanding that if one of you has a bad situation going on, you need to involve all of us, because I can save you or you can save them. You see what I'm saying? We can save each other if we're thinking alike, but we can't save each other in the right aspect in order to make sure that we stabilize where we're living, especially at a 6.1, because this shit gonna max us. And I said the whole point of what it is to max yourself so that once the interest rates start to drop, the price of the property does this. So remember, as the interest rate is going up, the property value is going down. And as the interest rate comes back down, the property value goes up. So if you start looking at it in hindsight of why anyone would get the 6.1 is all due to price appreciation and price devaluation based off of how the market is moving, right? So looking at this, right, I say, look, don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. So we all go in this as a team. This is the beginning of the story. Go in this as a team. We come in it. Long story short, I'm going to be honest. Like, I think up front, I had to take it on the chin. I had to take the first one on the chin, because you would think that most people would set up the means for making sure that they have their first month's, everything to go. Well, looking at it in hindsight, it doesn't always work like that. So understanding this 3.1 interest rate, the first thing that I had to do was out of pocket 3 bands. I came out of pocket 3 bands by myself, right? That means I had to upfront hold it down. In a crypto bull market had just hit. So if it weren't for the crypto bull market, financially, I wasn't supposed to pay anything, right? But somehow they were able to squeeze out hella bread. So I end up coming out of bread like 14K off top just for the property. I wasn't even supposed to put shit down. Come out of bread, 14. Then I see a crazy happening happen. So, I won't go too far into the story, but basically we get there. So I got knocked over the head for 14. And then instantly, I got to make first month's rent by myself, dolo. Boom, 3 bins. And then 3 bins turns into 5 bins because, you got the insurance, the home insurance, you got water, electricity, garbage. And remember, usually sometimes they're all like inside of one company. Nah, these are all separated through a multitude of different companies. Took me almost like a week and a half to figure out which garbage company I had. That shit was crazy. So I tell you, instantly I had to out pocket 3 bands just for the mortgage. And then hella bread for the utilities on top of gas driving 45 minutes away. And then we lost the third person. They couldn't meet the cut. They got cut from the lineup in the first month. So you can imagine my first property at a 2.5 interest rate. This is why I'm saying surviving the 6.1 interest rate. So at the 2.5 interest rate, I was paying $1876 a month. $1876, right? And you can imagine just starting out as an E5 and getting your first property, that feels like a lot of pressure because you're learning everything that you got to manage. If something breaks, you have to take care of it. It's a lot of different factors to the game, but when you instantly step into the 6.1, it turns into a game because you can survive a $3,000 payment, $4,000, $5,000 payment if you bring in more people to the equation and just have everybody break it up between the team. But when you don't have a strong foundation up front, and then you bring individuals into your investment, right? And then they don't meet the cut or things just don't work out. That's a lot of times how business deals go sour. So, if it weren't for me having yield, and I would say yield, right? Because I'm talking about internet money. We're talking about making money on the internet, right? I'm talking about time dividend token and pulse chain. If it weren't for this network, I wouldn't even had the bread. I wouldn't even have the bread. So the sick part about it is that it was set up for us to lose. But if you understand how the financial market works, then you can win, because then you understand how to leverage yourself. But I'd say at the very beginning, it was a lot of anxiety. It was a lot of anxiety because there was a lot of uncertainty that came into play. And there was a lot of, it was so crazy. I would find myself shedding tears as I was spending all the bag, because you got to understand, I wasn't boohoo crying or something, but you can feel it in your soul when you're getting hit over the head, but you feel like you're in pain, because you got to understand, like, let's say you go on a 5-mile run or something. I'm going to jump off and then jump right back on. Let's say you go on a 5-mile run. If you haven't been working out at all, on that first mile, about halfway, you're going to feel like you're dying. You're going to feel like you're in pain. You're going to feel like you're sad. But the truth of it is that you're putting yourself under pressure in order to develop yourself so that you can go to higher levels at a later's end or at a later time. Because remember, you got to delay gratification. You don't see the fruits of your labor always up front. Some businesses you do. Some you do. But a lot of times in reality, that's not how it works. So at the very beginning, it was a lot of anxiety because there was a lot of uncertainty coming into play. I was paying $3,000 every single month, still paying $3,000 every single month, right? But from the beginning of the time that I walked in the property to 6 months later, as of now, where they cut the interest rates and then you get the ability to refinance at a lower payment rate, and the property value goes up. So instead of renting, you get equity, and you get equity. And you see the fruits of your labor start to pay off, and the pain just starts to subside, and the sun starts coming out, and things just feel. Now, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely traumatized at this point. I got my trauma from this investment. It was definitely learning a lesson, but definitely caused some anxiety, trauma, but it taught me how to control my anxiety. Like, I came to a point where have you ever had so much anxiety that it felt like your heart was racing and it felt like your blood pressure just went through the roof? There was I was about 3 to 4 months in, and I'll tell you, there was a moment in time where instead of me cutting off the mental thoughts on how painful it was, I had let it seep into my mental conscious for like 5 seconds. It happened for 5 seconds, and I felt my blood pressure shoot up so high and my adrenaline shot up so high in that 5 seconds that I thought I was going to pass out, and then I cut it back off. And I said, oh wow, that's how much pressure you're under. So I said, this is what you're surviving right now, because if you don't, then you lose everything. And I said, that just means that you need to go deeper in management, deeper in financial literacy, and understanding the reason why you're doing it. So when it does feel painful, you can survive it. Because a lot of people buy things not looking at the fact of, why am I buying it? Am I buying it so that I can look good for everybody else? Or am I buying it so that I can help my future, or help my family, or help my kids and my future generational wealth? It could be anything. But you got to remember, the only thing that'll ever keep you going in hard times or in times of stress or anxiety is going to be your why. It's going to always be your why. Because without that, a lot of times we lose the motivation. And even when we lose the motivation and we don't want to do it, That's where discipline comes in. That's where hard work, dedication comes in. That's where even when you don't got no motivation, that's where persistence comes in, consistency. And even when it looks like there's no way out, faith. So I tell you, going from a 2.5 interest rate to having to make no payment, setting yourself up for the win, and then jumping into a 6.1 interest rate, feeling like it was done, it was all over for you, and the pressure was just too high and you couldn't potentially make it, to getting to the goal of refinancing. And really, I'm not even at the goal of refinancing just yet. Like, it's still a couple days away, but I break free because of the check and that refinance hits. I just want to clap it up for anybody who's ever put themselves under pressure, ever put themselves in a hard situation in order to get to the next level. I want to clap it up for you. This isn't for me, because mentally I already knew I was going to make it. You know what I'm saying? I knew I was going to make it. But high key, I want to clap it up for you, because you deserve it. You deserve it. Because all those nights that you felt like you were suffering, you felt like it was over, you felt like it was too hard, but instead of giving up, you kept going. I want to give you your flowers today. Because we all want to be successful. We all want to be somewhere in life. But in order to do that, you got to do something that you ain't never done before. And that's the reason that we doing this right here, right now. You feel me? And that's what you deserve right there. You deserve that. You feel me? Bless.